Yeah, today we have with us Aditya Seth. Aditya is a filmmaker. He makes various kinds of film, documentary, art film, and the feature film. He is also a professor in filmmaking. He runs his own film and media institute, the Academy of Sorts. He is also the president of Indian Documentary Producers Association. Welcome, Aditya. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Aditya to understand his world of filmmaking and learn from him how to become a filmmaker like him. So we all welcome him, and I'm going to pass on to Aditya. So Aditya, I have given you a brief introduction about yourself. And if you would like to add to something to the introduction, so please tell our audience.
No, it's just that I've been making films for about 35 years and I've been teaching for about 25. My teaching comes from my filmmaking, and whatever I've done in life professionally is primarily around my filmmaking and my understanding of different types of films and its applications. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So before we start the discussion, I would just like to request my audience, please subscribe to my channel and like and share the video. You can also click the bell icon so that you get the notification of the new videos. So Aditya, actually, can you tell us when did you find your inclination towards the filmmaking, and when you get into it, what were the challenges you were facing, and what were the reactions of your family members? So just about your background and how did you come into this field? So please tell our audience.
Yeah. I'm basically from Delhi. I studied in Delhi. I grew up in Delhi. Nobody in my family has anything to do with filmmaking. I'm the first person who's got into this profession. I was doing a lot of theater in college. We had a band, a rock band. I was a drummer and a percussionist. I was studying English literature. I was doing photography as a hobby from the time when I was in my early teens, mid-teens, 15, 16 years old was when I got my first box camera. So I think when I turned 20 and I asked myself this question, like, what do I want to do in life? The only thing that came from within was I want to make films. I never questioned that, but I had no idea of how to go about it.
Oh, great.
And then I wanted to go to FTI, like everybody. In my time, there weren't too many institutes which taught filmmaking in India.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the FTI entrance happened, my graduation exams, my final BA exams clashed with the time of the entrance exam for the FTI because of a strike of teachers in the university. So the exams got postponed. So I couldn't take the exam that year.
Oh.
And I tried for Jamia. The day of the Jamia exam, I had 104 temperature. And we were put into this very, very hot conditions to view films and then write reviews on them.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway through writing that review, I fainted. So I couldn't complete my paper. I was ill. And despite knowing everything, I wasn't able to concentrate because I was ill. It was really hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not, complete my paper properly. So obviously I failed. I didn't get through.
Oh.
And just as well, I'm happy I didn't. My mother used to be the director of Baldhavan, and Sri Prakash Jha's aunt was the chairperson.
Oh.
So my mother mentioned to her that my son wants to get into filmmaking. I don't know how to help him because I have no idea. I don't know what to do. So she said, my nephew is a filmmaker. Maybe he could teach him and maybe he could guide him.
Oh.
So a meeting was set up, and I went to meet Mr. Prakash Jha.
Oh.
And within a few minutes, he said, fine, come join me. But one question he asked me, and this is a question I ask everybody who wants to get into filmmaking, is he said, it's all very well that you want to become a filmmaker. It's all very well that you seem passionate about it. But do you have the aptitude to become one? I said, I have no idea. I don't even know the spelling. I only know the spelling of filmmaking. That's all I know. So it's for you to find out and for me to figure out whether I'm good enough, whether I have the capacity to become a filmmaker or not. And I started as an intern. I started at the lowest rung of the ladder. There were already 3 or 4 assistants with Mr. Prakash at that time. And I worked my way up. And by the end of it, nearing 2 years, I had become the chief assistant director. And I was also editing. I was looking after the editing of his films. So I think I had the prowess, I had the understanding, I had the inclination, and I worked very hard. There's no doubt about it. I worked very, very hard. And you have to work very hard, especially when your guru is working 20 hours a day.
Right.
You have to work 22 hours a day. Then sleep doesn't matter. Plus, thankfully, I was young. I was enthusiastic. Age was on my side. I had the energy. So I never gave up, despite all the challenges, despite all the problems, despite being overworked and underpaid, because money wasn't important at that time. Learning was important.
Yes.
I didn't look at the money part of it. Money just took care of, my bus fare at best, and that's about it, nothing else.
Yeah.
So I till date consider whatever I am today is thanks to Sri Prakasha. He guided me, mentored me, tutored me, taught me, exposed me to the processes of filmmaking, and he was never ever reticent when it came to my asking him questions, because I used to keep asking questions. I used to keep trying to learn on the job what's going on, why are we doing this, why aren't we doing this, and he always answered all my questions. He was a very, very good teacher. Plus, I made sure that while I was assisting him, whenever I found the time, I read the books that were prescribed to FTIS students. So I was correlating theory and practical constantly.
Yeah. That was.
I always read the book, and then I tried to see what was happening on set, and in my own mind, I tried to make the correlation. So, which is the reason why I probably became a teacher eventually, because I was as well versed in the theory, despite not being examined for it, as in practical. So I understood both theory and practical. I understood application of the theories, and so I think one thing led to another, and I became a filmmaker. And after assisting him for 2 years, then it took me about 6 months to get my own first film commissioned from one of the ministries. Initially, I was working out of Delhi, so I was primarily making films for the government or for agencies of the government, and I was making small corporate and ad films. And I think after about 4 or 5 years, I got saturated in Delhi because there was no opportunity to go beyond a point. One was doing the same thing again and again and again and again. Yeah. And it kind of was saturating me. So I needed to do something different. I needed to explore my own prowess in different genres. And by then I was pretty certain I wanted to make tele serials. I wanted to get into the TV serial business. Okay. So that's when I got an opportunity. I went to Bombay to make a serial for Eagle Films, for DD Metro. And Pran, the great Pran, the erstwhile actor Pran, acted in my serial. He did television under my direction for the first time. He was the hero of my show. And I had a great star cast. I had Pran, Madan Jain, Karan Shah, Jalal Aga, Vivek Vaswani, Tanaz Basroor. So I had a very good star cast for TV in those days. Yeah. Unfortunately, by the time we got a slot on DD Metro, satellite television had taken over and the market of DD Metro had died. So my producers felt that this was not worth their while anymore. So it never went beyond a couple of episodes. That was my bad. Okay. But then one thing led to another, and I made other serials. And slowly, for about 10 years, I was only doing television work in Bombay. Okay. I worked at every level. I worked as a writer, as an editor, as a producer, director, as a designer, as a production person, everything. I did the works in TV. So for 10 years, I did only TV. Yeah. I did a lot of daily shows, did a lot of weekly shows. Then I got saturated with TV. I couldn't handle it anymore. I reached a stage where I felt that if I can't watch it, how can I make it? So I kind of gave up on TV. And I started concentrating more and more on advertising kind of work, corporate films, things like that, which kept happening. And I was always more interested in documentary. From the time I wanted to become a filmmaker, my inclination was towards documentary rather than fiction, because I've always found fact more fascinating and more interesting and stranger than fiction. So for me, fact was always more important.
Mm.
So therefore, I never really cut off from documentaries. I did keep making films whenever I got an opportunity, or if not, directing, editing, or writing documentaries for people. So I kept in touch with the non-fiction genre. It's not that I didn't. I also directed a couple of non-fiction shows for TV.
Okay.
So I was very much part of the documentary despite doing television for 10 years. And then I think I just came back full-fledged to documentary after a few years. And that's really how the journey went. And over a period of time, I've more or less stopped doing. I don't do TV at all anymore. I only do documentaries and I teach filmmaking. And I kind of correlate whatever I know as a filmmaker into my teaching. So it's all very experiential. It's all very application oriented, which is why I set up my academy, where I kind of devised courses in such a way where I've done away with unnecessary theoretical constructs. This is all application based. So I make films, I make documentaries, and I make promos and ads, and I teach filmmaking. So that's where I am today. And it still excites me, the process of filmmaking. So till the process of filmmaking excites me, I hope to inshallah continue doing the same.
So when did this journey started actually? Which year it was?
It started in 1986. I was in second year college.
Okay.
And we used to play music. I used to play music for plays. I also used to perform on stage. I was part of a band, a rock band in college. We became a semi-professional band by the end of it. And I got an opportunity to co-compose music for a documentary for Jen Studios in my second year of college. And that kind of was my first exposure to what filmmaking was. Without really getting into the filmmaking part, it was more understanding, how you structure a film, the storyline, what do they want out of the film, and then how do you find the right music to enhance the mood or to fill the mood, and so on and so forth. So I think that's the first time when I started really understanding at a very fundamental, basic level as an outsider as to what goes into making a documentary, or what are the requirements of a documentary. At least as far as structure and content was concerned, I did get some insight there, but the real learning came only after I joined Prakash. So that's where it started.
Okay. That's great. So what were the projects you did with Mr. Prakash Jha?
Under his guidance, I worked on 5 or 6 documentaries and 2 TV serials.
Okay.
TV serials, Mungeri Lal Ke Hazeen Sapne was what I was assistant on.
Okay.
And by the end of it, I was as good as a chief assistant. We were 2 of us who were handling everything by the end of it, 2 assistants. So we were both associates or chief assistants or whatever you call us. And we did a docudrama series on Pandit Govind Vallabh Pant. It was his centenary year. Okay. So there was a docudrama series which was produced for Doordarshan to commemorate Govind Vallabh Pant's 100 years. So these were the 2 serials I worked on. And I worked on, like I said, 5 different documentaries. One was on the drought in Rajasthan. One was on Indian youth. Then I worked on a film on the Bhopal, on the 3rd anniversary of the Bhopal gas tragedy. Then I worked on one film on the status of women in India. And yeah, I think that's more or less that. And there was one more film which I did work on in the middle, which was also a documentary. I'm sorry, my memory fails me here. But yeah, about five documentaries and 2 TV series.
So can you name a few of the films that you have produced on your own, the fiction and non-fiction, the documentary, whatever you have done?
That I have made myself?
Yes.
Okay, fiction I've done primarily advertising and television work. I've not made any feature films. I've never made a feature film. I've written feature films, but I've never made a feature film. So the TV serials I've made, there was a serial called Kya Ye Pyar Hai, then there was a serial called Kabhi Sawtan Kabhi Saheli for Balaji Telefilms. I directed that. Then there was a serial called Kamyabi. Then there was a series, there were 2-3 serials for Sahara called Raz, and there was one on lawyers, which I forget, which I wrote. Then I wrote Crime Patrol. Then I edited a lot of regional serials. I edited a couple of other serials for again for Doordarshan, then for Sony. Then I did a show for Z. So many shows over the years for about 10 years for television. Then for Sahara, I did a lot of work. The first show that I came on Sahara was a morning show. It was a breakfast show called Pehli Kiran. There I was a project director. Then I did a couple of films with the Siddharth Kak for Cinema Vision. On the centenary, I was part of that. Then I did some work for Surabhi. So I did a lot of non-fiction over 10 years, all for television.
So the great thing that happened to you is the thing you played various roles on your projects actually while working with Mr. Prakash, right? Now I said the great thing that happened to you, you played various roles on your projects actually when you were working with Prakash.
Yes. That's primarily because when you work with somebody like Prakash, you learn every aspect of filmmaking hands-on, because he was a very hands-on filmmaker. So that allowed me the bandwidth to work at different levels with different people. And I knew exactly what every department required. I was completely well-versed because I'd done it hands-on myself on projects. So for me to get into any role was not difficult. Because I was trained in that way. I was made to learn that. And I experienced my work that way.
So that brings me to my next question actually. So there are many aspiring filmmakers, the young ones and more adult actually, because the job market is so different. There are many people wants to change their field. So there are many people who wish to come to this field. So what do you suggest them? What kind of skills are required to be a filmmaker?
There are 2-3 things here. It's not a simple question. It's a complex question. I think the first thing is how observant are you of life?
Yes.
How observant are you of things that happen around you? How observant are you without being judgmental? How much are you able to imbibe and perceive without judging it, without either feeling superior or inferior to it? So you have to accept life as it happens in front of you. You have to understand life as it happens in front of you. It's complicated, it's complex, it's not easy. It happens over a period of time. But the first thing I believe, and I think, I have learned more from observations than from anything else. And when you observe, you have to shut yourself up. You have to shut the voices in your head. You have to shut your predispositions, your prejudices, your complexes, your experiences. Because you have to look at everything as a new experience. You have to look at everything as a new learning. You have to be a student of life. Only then can you be a student of cinema. Only then can you be a filmmaker. First, fundamental requirement: to be a good learner, a keen learner, and a good listener. A good observer and a good listener without any filters, without any judgment, without anything coming in between you and what you're observing. And then you make your inferences, then you make your analysis.
Yes.
Second thing is reading. You got to read a lot.
Yes.
The more you read, the better you will become, the better you will understand how to deal with different subjects. The more depth you will have in the work you do. The less you read, the more superficial your work will be.
Yes.
You have to have a complete understanding. Today's kids don't read.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. They don't read. And they think whatever they find on Google are the answers. Google is only, or any search engine is only the first stage of knowledge. It is only information. Today's generation confuses information for knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge is not information. Information is the first step towards knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge still comes from books. I still read books every time I start a new project.
Yes. That's the
I still read books.
Yeah.
I still try and get a comprehensive understanding of the subject I'm dealing with. Whatever it may be, however big, however small, doesn't matter. But you have to know whatever is going around that subject 360 degrees to be able to make a comprehensive, to be able to make a realistic, plausible, believable film. So first is observation, second is knowledge, third is hard work and application has to be there. There is no alternative to hard work. You
Yeah.
have to work very, very hard. And it is a difficult line.
Yeah.
It is a physically tasking line.
Mhm.
It's a mentally tasking line. And it's a very, very unstable line. There is no guarantee that you will constantly be in work. So you've got to be sure that you keep doing something which is showing the world that you are adding value to a project.
Yes.
काम से काम मिलता है, घर पे बैठ के काम नहीं मिलता है, काम करते रहना चाहिए. You have to keep working. There is no alternative to that. You have to be observant, you have to be well read, you got to work hard. And the most important, why are you there in the first place?
Yes.
What do you want to do? What is your contribution? What are you all about? What do you bring to the table? Instead of looking at, oh, मेरे को शाहरुख खान बनना है, oh, मेरे को वो बनना है, oh, मेरे को वो बनना है. नहीं, तुमको अपने आप को क्या बनना है? तुम वहां पे क्यों हो? दूसरों को देख के बनने आए तो वहां मत आओ.
बिल्कुल ही नहीं.
You have to stop looking at others. You have to look at yourself. You have to improve yourself. You have to become a better professional on a daily basis.
Yes.
You have to know the reasons you are there in the first place.
Yes.
Concentrate on your skills. Concentrate on your prowess. Concentrate on what you bring to the table, not what somebody else has done. Because if you keep looking at what somebody else has done, you will never look at what you meant to do.
Yes.
So stop looking at others. Look at yourself. I have never looked at others. I have never bothered about competition. I have only looked at what I bring to the table. And I take full responsibility for my failures and my successes.
Yes, that's good.
I don't blame anybody.
Yeah.
Nor do I say, oh, I wanted to become like him, so I became like him. I don't want to become like anybody. I want to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be clear, I'm not saying I'm a very successful person. Success, anyways, I don't understand the term very well. But I'm using it for want of a better term. I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah.
But the one thing I've done in life is I've stayed focused. I've not deterred from my focus. I've never bothered about what anybody else is doing. I've done what I think I can do to the best of my ability, and that's it.
Yes.
Give it 100%, hope for the best, leave the rest. That's it. So these 3-4 things are very, very important to become a filmmaker. Yeah. Then it's learning the craft, being hands-on, realizing, recognizing your skills. Are you a good writer? Are you a good director? Are you a good cinematographer, a good sound person, a good recordist, or a production designer, or an art person, a production person? You need to figure out where is your skill? What are you good at?
Yes.
That you got to figure out. But you always need somebody to guide you initially for you to realize your potential.
Yeah. So
there are too many choices. There are too many choices, and there is too much happening around us.
Yeah.
So we do need demystification. We do need a guide, which is why you need a teacher. We need somebody to tell you what to do, what not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody can watch YouTube videos and become filmmakers. But beyond a point, they won't be able to go. They'll be stuck.
Right.
How do you improve on that?
Right. So that was actually my next question, actually. So if someone wants to become a filmmaker, does he need to do a course or something in the filmmaking, or he needs a
He definitely needs to understand the fundamentals of the language of cinema and its applications.
Okay.
Whether you do a course, whether you learn hands-on, whether you assist somebody hands-on, you have to be part of the process to understand the process. Processes cannot be learned from the outside.
Yeah.
Processes have to be learned organically from within, from doing. In this craft, in this applied art called film, called cinema, called TV, called web, called advertising, whatever, whichever application, documentary, it has to be a hands-on understanding. You learn by doing. Whether you learn by doing in a film course, whether you learn by doing by working under somebody is your option. But you have to do to learn. You can't be on the outside, read a few books, watch a few videos and think you become a filmmaker. It's not possible. You're kidding yourself if that's what you think it is.
So Aditya, I think we should have a long discussion on this topic, and we are running short of time today because our time is limited on this meeting. So what are you looking for currently? Because can you tell the audience? Because this is also...
Sorry, come again.
What are you looking for currently, actually? Because there is a big number of audience that is watching you. So if you have some message or if you're looking for something, so you can...
Oh, like that. Okay. I am only looking to improve myself, do better work, make better films, teach more and more people, try and make people aware of filmmaking. Whether they want to become filmmakers or not is really up to them. But in the process to them from different applications, different genres.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking at now more and more, because of COVID and other reasons, we've also gone highly into the online space. So I'm looking at creating more and more hybrid courses.
Okay.
Hopefully, once COVID leaves us and we are back to so-called normal, create more hybrid courses where we do the theoretical courses online and we do the practical courses offline. And eventually, I wish to create an app, a self-learning app, an app which teaches you filmmaking at different levels. I want to incorporate virtual reality and artificial intelligence into that, so it becomes more and more experiential. And every level has its own requirements there. So I'm not saying it will be 100% foolproof where you become a filmmaker by the app, but it will definitely give you a far better understanding and a far more experiential understanding while sitting at home to learn from that app. So I'm in the process of developing something that will take some time because it requires investment and time and work and so on and so forth. But eventually, I wish to create an app which gives anybody and everybody who's interested in filmmaking at least a hands-on experiential understanding of what they're up against, what the discipline requires.
Right.
Also, to take on more and more courses, I keep taking on more and more courses, more and more workshops with other institutions also, not just my own. So that, because today everything is an audio visual, right? Nobody reads, nobody looks at anything but videos. Everything is a video. Everything is visual. So the visual metaphor has become much more important in today's day and age, rather than the oral or the visual or the reading metaphor. Right? So try and bring as much of comprehension and understanding through films for people. Demystify life. That's what I try and do all the time. I pick up subjects, I work on films which are always demystifying things for people to give them a new insight into different aspects of society. So I wish and plan to do both simultaneously as I go along, for as long as I can, for as long as God wills.
That's great. That's great. So I think we have 5 minutes of more time that we can use. So can you tell the viewer how do you select your subject actually for filmmaking?
That's a good question. For me, I've always swum against the tide. I've never gone with popular expectations, perceptions, or what everybody is doing. For me, a subject, I only pick up a subject which appeals to me emotionally, and where I think that I will be able to demystify and bring out something for the audience which they wouldn't have known about otherwise. These two things are very, very important. It has to be emotionally appealing. And it has to have information and an exposition which has not been looked upon earlier, which has not been recognized or given its due or even comprehended that it exists in society earlier. So those are the subjects that interest me. Things which are lesser known, things which I feel personally that need to be talked about, that I feel people need to know about. Those are the kind of films I make.
Okay. So you are talking about the solution. So when you see something, some challenges, some problem, you just present your perspective and how the solution can be found. Right?
Yeah, that's really where it starts, right? Because I think life is very complicated, very complex. Every day things are getting more and more complicated, and our understanding of information. We're living in an age where we are bombarded with information on a daily basis.
Yes.
We have so much information to deal with. How do you see through that and get to what the real thing behind all that is?
Yes.
Because most of it is propaganda of one kind or other. Most of it is only trying to manipulate you into believing something. Most of it is only superficial. But that superficiality is presented in such a plausible, realistic, dramatic manner that we tend to believe it. We tend to believe whatever we see today, whatever we read today, whatever video comes to us, despite our knowledge telling us or our fundamentals telling us that maybe we should doubt this. We don't doubt it.
Okay. So
we don't look at things in a demystifying way. We look at things on an as is where is basis, and we tend to accept whatever we get on a face value. We need to go beyond face value. We need to scratch the surface and go deeper. Now, that's really where the challenge lies, because how many people have the time or the patience or the wherewithal to really look deeper into things?
Okay.
People don't. So which is why making films on things which demystify various concepts in life are important, are relevant, and I think it's the call of the hour. It's imperative.
So just to finish off, there is hardly 1 minute left, I think. So if someone wants to connect with you, how he can reach you? How the person can reach you?
You can send me an email or send me a message, and if
Not
there's something
this,
worth.
this will be on YouTube. So the person can leave a comment there and you'll be able to reach.
Certainly, and I'll get back in touch. Most certain.
Yeah.
Most certain.
So thank
Definitely.
you. So we are short of time today. So we'll be meeting up again. We'll be discussing new things about the filmmaking. Aditya is a very knowledgeable person. He'll be able to help a lot actually. So please subscribe to the channel and like and share the video and click the bell icon. So whenever we upload the new video, the notification will be going to you. That's right, Aditya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
meeting again soon.
Pleasure. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.